Welcome. InfoOhio is happy to bring you this breakout session at OETC 2021. A little different this year, as this is a pre-recorded session. And as a pre-recorded session, please feel free to revisit this session as often as you need to support the work that you do with your students in your classrooms. Today, we'll be talking more about quality content and tools available at no cost from InfoOhio to support Ohio's learning standards for grades 6 through 12. My name is Mary Rolland, and I'm a professional instructional specialist with InfoOhio. But before coming to InfoOhio, I taught high school English for 14 years. And I'm really excited to share with you today some of my favorite InfoOhio resources that I used with my students in the classroom. So let's go ahead and get started. InfoOhio is Ohio's pre-K-12 digital library. We provide premium digital content and web tools at no cost to Ohio's teachers, students, and families. Equity is at the heart of our mission, ensuring that each Ohio pre-K-12 student has equal access to high-quality digital resources for a successful education and future. Furthermore, it is our vision to transform student learning through equitable access to quality resources and cost-effective instructional and technical support. Today, we're going to take a look at a few of the resources that support Ohio's learning standards, and we'll explore specific examples of how that content can be used in instruction. We'll also talk more about helping students become better readers of digital text. If you are new to InfoOhio, here are some key steps to getting started. Begin at www.infohio.org. Check the top left corner of your screen to make sure that you are logged in. You will probably see your school or district name or InfoOhio statewide user in the top left corner. If you are not logged in, this button will be red. Click it and do a search for your school or district name to find your password. Many of the resources on the 6-8 and 9-12 page are the same. So for today's presentation, we'll start on the grades 9 through 12 page, and we'll explore resources that are applicable for students ranging from grades 6 through 12. So from the home page, select grades 9 through 12 to access some of our most popular resources for this grade band. Let's begin with World Book Student. World Book Student is a World Book encyclopedia for students in grades 5 through 10. This resource includes videos, images, and articles written at a reading level appropriate for students in grades 5 through 10. World Book Advanced is the World Book encyclopedia for students in grades 9 through 12. Just like World Book Student, World Book Advanced contains images and videos. The articles here are written at a slightly higher reading level in World Book Advanced. Both World Book Student and World Book Advanced offer content that integrates easily with Google Classroom and includes a read aloud option for students who need additional support. Explorer for grades 6 through 8 is a database that offers newspaper and magazine articles, as well as videos, journals, and eBooks from publications that are suitable for your middle school students. Just like Explorer for grades 6 through 8, Explorer for grades 9 through 12 offers newspaper and magazine articles, as well as videos, journals, and eBooks from publications that are suitable for your high school students. Both Explorer databases provide content that integrates with Google Classroom and offers read aloud options. Points of View Reference Center is a database that provides an overview, a point, and a counterpoint article on a variety of different topics. This was one of my favorite InfoOhio resources to use in my classroom with my students. There's a range of currently trending topics, and as the teacher, I took a great deal of comfort in knowing that the content is trustworthy and accurate. Using the Articles and Points of View Reference Center allowed my students to develop arguments grounded in facts. And students also had to explore the opposing viewpoint contrary to their own. Points of View Reference Center is a great resource for argumentative writing, debate, and critical thinking. The content integrates with Google Classroom and contains a read aloud feature. This resource provides content at reading levels appropriate for students ranging from grades 6 through 12. I'd also like to share with you a tool that was created by InfoOhiyo, Go, Ask, Act, Achieve. Go is a curated collection of the best from the web that supports students through the inquiry process. Go is a place students can visit to help them find resources with everything from narrowing down a topic to organizing their notes, and even resources to help them work with their classmates in a group. Students will also find resources that will help them self-assess their work and reflect on their work too. iSearch is InfoOhio's discovery layer tool. If your school automates with InfoOhio, iSearch can search both your school library catalog and nearly all of InfoOhio's databases, including Explora, World Book, and Points of View, from one single search box. iSearch uses a tabbed interface to display results to students with lower Lexile results in the Basic Sources tab, and scholarly journals and more complex results are located in the Advanced Sources tab, the STEAM tab, and the Open Access tab. The common link among World Book, iSearch, Explora, and Points of View is that each resource contains quality text that can be used in the classroom to support Ohio's learning standards. And what's even better about this online text is that it is authentic. Authentic text is text that readers will find in the real world, newspapers, websites, books, or even social media. It is not text created specifically to be read and then tested on. It lives, it changes, and it influences how we see the world. This authentic digital text is the key to producing students who are able to read, comprehend, synthesize, and create for lifelong learning. So let's talk a little bit more about students and reading online. So how many of you have heard this from someone? Kids know everything these days about technology. My son's only 5 and he knows more than I do. What are your thoughts or your reactions when you hear someone say this? If you are watching this with a colleague, pause and turn and talk. And if you're watching this on your own, simply pause the recording and take a moment to reflect. So kids are proficient when using technology for entertainment and social interaction. According to Angela Myers, tech comfy is not the same thing as tech savvy. It does not guarantee their proficiencies automatically grow into new and sophisticated literacies or online competencies as infosumers, critical thinkers, and savvy participants in a digital space. For many youth, their motto seems to be "In Google we trust," or at least according to a new study coming out of Northwestern University. In this study, researchers explored the savvy web skills, or lack thereof, of college students as it relates to search strategies and the ability to determine the credibility of their search results. When asked how often students check the credibility of their search results, researchers found that the least common activities among students are checking if the contact information is provided on the website and checking the qualifications or credentials of the author. Myth number 2, print will eventually become extinct. People read everything on devices now. What are your thoughts or your reactions when you hear this? Again, take a moment to pause and reflect. And if you're with a colleague, turn and talk. So the research shows that most people still prefer print books and will choose print over digital if given the choice. A Scholastic reading report shows that 65% of kids ages 6 through 14 will always want to read print. And a Marachi study revealed that 72% of college kids want a print textbook over a digital textbook. A 2019 Pew Internet Research study found that 65% of adults who read regularly prefer print. Myth number 3, reading on the screen is the same as reading in print. What are your thoughts or your reactions? Again, take a moment to pause and reflect, and if you're with a colleague, turn and talk. So the research shows that when we read online, our practice shifts. In her article, Being a Better Online Reader, Maria Konnikova found more skimming behavior when we read online. We scroll, which means we tend to read more quickly and less deeply than when we move sequentially from page to page. People tend to browse and scan to look for keywords and to read in a less linear and more selective fashion. We become tired from the constant need to filter out hyperlinks and possible distractions. And our eyes themselves may grow fatigued from the constantly shifting screens, layouts, colors, and contrasts. And this is true for e-readers as well as computers. So to support 21st century students, it's important that educators provide scaffolding to help them become better users and better readers of digital content. InfoOhio's Best Practices for Digital Reading was developed for this reason by teachers, librarians, and education professionals. It is available on the InfoOhio website, and a link for this document is included in this presentation. So let's take a look at some key takeaways from this document. So I pulled out some key ideas from the Best Practices document. So let's take a little pop quiz and test your knowledge to when it comes to supporting readers using devices. Question number 1, adults should use digital text in lessons, true or false? And the answer here is true. So along with modeling effective strategies for engaging users and readers with digital text, this practice will help our students become better readers of digital content. Question number 2, using multiple forms of media with students is too confusing and should be avoided. And the answer here is false. Reading digital text, examining graphs or images, and using streaming video to introduce or supplement the instruction of a difficult concept, these are great ways to use multiple forms of media with instruction. Question number 3, students need teachers to model how to navigate reading platforms and use interface features for learning. And the answer here is true. Remember, tech comfy is not the same thing as tech savvy. And modeling is a great teaching strategy. It's just as applicable when we're teaching our students how to read and engage with digital content. Question number 4, bimodal text is helpful when reading on a screen to build comprehension and fluency. And the answer here is true. And we'll take a look at how bimodal text works later on in this presentation. So our ultimate goal is to create lifelong learners who can read text in any format or consume media and successfully evaluate it to determine whether it is reliable, accurate, and factual. And I call this reading in the digital wilderness. Social media, blogs, memes, online news, media bias, all of these things contribute to the briars and brambles that can trip up students as they navigate their surroundings. A recent Pew Internet Research study revealed that 64% of Americans found that made-up news caused a great deal of confusion. And if adults struggle to determine the validity of information, then our students will experience the same frustrations. So before we send any student into the digital wilderness, we need to prepare them, our digital natives, with the right tools and skills to be successful. So with intention and purpose, we can prepare students to thrive in a digital wilderness and help them avoid the cognitive overload and engage in real learning. Starting now is key to making sure we develop students who can become adults who can read, think, and interpret. Think about your current students in 5 years. What do they need to know now in order to be responsible users of digital text and good online citizens? Integrating quality digital content and using technology for learning now is important. So let's take a look at how we can use digital text from InfoOhiio combined with best practices for digital reading to meet the Ohio learning standards. So let's begin by locating digital content to support students in grades 6 through 8 as they distinguish fact from opinion and evaluate the text. As we look at the literacy standards for history, social studies, science, and the technical subjects, along with the Ohio English Language Arts standards, we can see that distinguishing fact from opinion and evaluating text are skills that can be found across the curriculum. One of my favorite resources in InfoOhiio is Points of View Reference Center. And this is a great resource, again, for argumentative writing and debate. So here we are on the Points of View Reference Center homepage. For my 7th grade students, I can select a topic along with a collection of articles that we can explore together as a class. And that way we can practice distinguishing fact from opinion and practice evaluating the author's argument. One of the currently trending topics located in the news section at the top of the page is the coronavirus 2019, and you can see it highlighted here for you on the screen. This would be a great topic to explore in a science or social studies classroom. So let's take a look. This is the COVID-19 overview article. Students will find basic facts about the topic. On the right, students can access the point and the counterpoint articles about COVID-19. Here's where students can practice distinguishing fact from opinion. Using the guide to critical analysis, students can compare and contrast the point and the counterpoint articles. And we'll take a closer look at that guide to critical analysis here in a moment. Points of View has many helpful tools for students who need additional support as they read. Students can save the article to their Google Drive, and that way they can make use of the highlight and comment feature to annotate the text as they read. And the text can be read aloud. One best practice when asking students to read online is to provide text that is read aloud and highlighted. This is known as bimodal text. I recommend enhancing this feature in Points of View Reference Center by clicking on the tiny gear icon shown in the box above. The student can edit the settings for the read aloud to meet their needs. And be sure to let students know that they can click on the Enhanced Text Visibility option. And with this setting activated, students will see the text enhanced and highlighted as it is read aloud. So, as was mentioned on the previous slide, each topic has an overview article, a point article, and a counterpoint article. And remember, our goal for this lesson is to help our students learn how to distinguish fact from opinion. And we can encourage our students to evaluate the argument, the claim, and determine if there is enough evidence to support the argument. And I can use the guide to critical analysis to provide an opportunity for my students to practice and refine these skills. So, as we can see from the content section, as students read the articles and complete the guide to critical analysis, they will be asked to distinguish fact from opinion. In the You Decide section of this guide, students will reflect on whether or not there is sufficient evidence to support the point and the counterpoint. Students are also asked to evaluate the argument and develop their own position using evidence from all 3 articles. To extend the learning, I can use the Debated section to hold a debate in my classroom, and using instructional support materials from Points of View Reference Center, I can guide my students through a debate exercise that is really meaningful and relevant. Many of the topics in the Points of View Reference Center include a guide to critical analysis like you see here on the screen. And using this guide will help your students become better critical readers of digital text. You can print off this guide to critical analysis for your students, or you can ask them to read this guide to critical analysis online. Or ask the students to answer the questions to the guide to critical analysis by annotating the text. In this example, the student is using a Google Chrome extension called Cami to annotate the point article. And here we see that the student is distinguishing fact from opinion by highlighting examples from the text and explaining what makes it a fact and what makes it an opinion. Again, with currently trending topics written by subject matter experts, Points of View Reference Center can be a great resource across the content areas for students in grades 6 through 12. For content area teachers, consider using Points of View Reference Center articles to supplement an existing unit. And for English language arts teachers, consider using Points of View Reference Center to support argumentative writing in your classroom. Let's return to our literacy standards for history, social studies, science, and the technical subjects in grades 6 through 12. And here we find that cite textual evidence and analyze text development is a reading skill in history, social studies, science, and the technical subjects. And we see a similar standard included in the English language arts standards. So let's take a look at how we might teach this standard in a 10th grade English classroom. To ensure that I met this standard and incorporate digital text into the classroom, I would often pair a nonfiction article with a current fiction piece that we were reading in class. So for those of you teaching science, social studies, or any of the technical subjects, maybe even art or world language, think about a unit that you teach that could be enhanced by incorporating a contemporary article about a currently trending topic. So one novel I taught was Fahrenheit 451. And so here I've used iSearch to locate a nonfiction article that I could add to my unit on Fahrenheit 451 and ask my students to read. As I mentioned before, iSearch is InfoOhio's discovery layer tool, which allows iSearch to search nearly all of InfoOhio's digital content from one single search box. So think of iSearch as a search engine for InfoOhio. Just like when using any search interface, it's always helpful to start with precise keywords. So here I have started with the keywords reading fiction in the search box. And you'll notice that I'm looking at the search results on the Advanced Sources tab. This tab includes articles from magazines and journals, usually written at a slightly higher reading level. Along the left side of the screen, you can use limiters to narrow your search results. So for this search, I used the source type limiter and I selected magazines. And I scroll down the page until I find an article that looks interesting. And here I find an article that's called Novel Delights from Psychology Today. To view this article, I'll click on the View Download button, and I arrive on a detailed record page for the article. You'll notice that this detailed record page looks similar in points of view and includes many of the same features. Let's start with the abstract. The article explores the connection between reading fiction and empathy, so that makes it perfect for my Fahrenheit 451 unit. I can share this article in its current HTML format that we see here on the screen, or as a PDF full text. And we'll take a look at that PDF full text in just a minute. I also have the option to save the PDF to the cloud. On the right side of the screen, you can see that I have the option to share this article with my students using Google Drive, or I can save it to my Google Drive. The HTML version has a read aloud feature, again, to help students who need to hear the text read aloud. As we saw in Points of View Reference Center, students can click on the gear icon in the read aloud feature and update the settings in order to turn on that enhanced text visibility option. With that setting on, the text is read aloud and highlighted for my students. So when I saved the article to my Google Drive, EBSCO saved it as a PDF. Sharing a PDF version of the text with a student allows each student to use the comment feature to annotate the text as they read. One of the best practices for digital reading includes that students should engage, communicate, connect, create, and reflect when reading digital text. So to support engagement with the text, I added the essential question from our Fahrenheit 451 unit to the beginning of the article. Why read? And as students read the article, they're asked to highlight evidence from the nonfiction text that answers this question that the novel raises. Again, annotating the text is a best practice for reading print and digital text. And you can use Google Chrome extensions like Cami or Google Read and Write for annotation. This allows students to come to class prepared to participate in class discussion, whether that discussion will be held virtual or face-to-face. And after adding some guiding questions, I added my article to my Google Classroom with some reminders to my students about strategies for reading digital text, as well as things that they can do as they annotate the article as they read. And with time, engaging with digital text, using the annotation features, this will just become part of my classroom practice. In this example, you can see that the student has started to answer some of the questions. So to support their engagement with the text, I can respond back to the student and encourage the student to share their comments during our virtual fishbowl. Students can also generate their own questions about the text, which can be a really powerful strategy. And I can use the comment feature to encourage students to add their own questions and reactions to the text. As you see here in this example, a simple question that the students posted here in the comments could be explored further in a future inquiry or research project. As was indicated in the assignment, after reading and annotating the article, students reflect and share what they learned during a virtual fishbowl. This will give students an opportunity to talk about the text, their questions, comments, and connections that they made during and after they read the article. So to locate instructional strategies to use with the digital content I found in iSearch, I visited Educator Tools. Powered by InfoOhiio, Educator Tools includes thousands of teacher-approved lesson plans that are standard-aligned, best practices, articles, websites, and other instructional materials curated by ACT Novation. ACT Novation is an Ohio-based company with a team of education professionals who evaluate the instructional materials. So we're going to start by using Educator Tools to search for a lesson or activity to support the Ohio Learning Standards. And in Educator Tools, we can do a search using keywords, phrases, and even exact text from the standard. So here you can see I did a keyword search using informational text. I used limiters on the left to narrow my search results to 9th grade. And I got some pretty good results from educational companies that I easily recognize, like Scholastic, Common Lit, and Engage New York. And I want to learn more about the Engage New York resource. So I click on the resource, and Educator Tools takes me directly to the resource. And I find that this resource is a video of a lesson conducted in a 10th grade classroom reading Fahrenheit 451. Students read a nonfiction article, used guided questions to take notes and annotate the text as they read. And after reading the nonfiction article, the teacher uses a fishbowl strategy to support students as they not only engage with the text in the novel, but also with one another. And what I really like about this video lesson is that it provides me a strategy to use with my students to support them as we engage with the digital text. A fishbowl class discussion strategy is one that can be used in any classroom with any text across the 612 curriculum. And using the article I found in iSearch Novel Delights, along with maybe modifying this fishbowl strategy for my virtual teaching environment, I can combine a best practice for digital reading and a great classroom discussion strategy that I can use in both a face-to-face teaching environment and a virtual one. Before we wrap up, let's return to my search results. You'll notice that I have favorited items by clicking on the heart in the lower left-hand corner. After clicking on the heart to the left of the search box, Educator Tools generates a list for me, and I can email this list of lesson plans and resources to myself using the send to email option, or I can copy and paste this URL. That URL will take me back to this list. However, it's really important that I save the URL or email this list to myself before I exit out of Educator Tools. So again, here are some additional suggestions for using digital text in your 612 classroom with your students. You can consider using the snipping tool to chunk digital text for close reading and analysis. And you can honor student voice and choice by allowing students to select trustworthy digital content from InfoOhiyo as they work on or complete a research assignment or inquiry project. And be sure to check out our parent page. The parent page has a variety of resources to support parents and families as they help their child with reading on the screen. And hopefully this quick overview of the resources and tools from InfoOhiyo will pique your interest to learn more. Because we only did a quick overview of the resources today, I recommend using InfoOhiyo Campus to boost your knowledge of how to use resources and integrate them into your instruction. InfoOhiyo's learning pathways are self-paced online classes on InfoOhiyo's resources and tools, and they're a great way to earn some contact hours. You can visit the 612 Learning Pathway to learn more about how to use World Book, Explora, iSearch, and other 612 InfoOhiyo resources in your classroom. And if you're looking for more, check out InfoOhiyo's on-demand sessions at OETC. Are you growing the use of digital resources in your school or classroom with InfoOhiyo? If so, we want to hear from you. We like to spotlight teachers and school librarians using InfoOhiyo resources in schools across Ohio. Share your story for a chance to be featured on our website or in our biannual newsletters to our valued partners. In the in the notes to this presentation, you will find a link to the survey. And follow us on social media. Send a tweet, add a picture from your classroom or school library showcasing students using InfoOhiyo's digital resources. Catch up on InfoOhiyo news, blogs, and webinars sent straight to your feed, and join a community of InfoOhio supporters. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And thank you again for joining me today. I know your time is valuable, and I hope you found one idea or one resource that you can take back to your classroom. So thank you for your dedication to bringing the best education to your students. And at InfoOhio, we want to support your work in the classroom and your school libraries with your students. So please reach out to us with questions if you would like more information about InfoOhio resources and using our resources in your classroom, with your students, and with your families. Thank you.